So, faith and fear. I had just read an article on Facebook that somebody had wrote, and the whole gist of it was that there's no room for fear within faith. And I just started thinking, I really don't think that that's true. At least it's nothing that I've experienced. And like for the longest time, I just really wondered why, if I have faith in God, why am I so terrified of everything? I grew up in a wonderful Christian home, and I'm a Christian, and I was brought up in a Christian church, and I married a pastor, and he was a pastor of a Christian church, and somehow, inadvertently, or maybe not inadvertently, these things that aren't true kind of get taught. But coming alongside of that, we're really good at like self-deceiving ourselves. So I started just really wondering, why am I so afraid if I have faith in God, like I say I do, like I think I do, and I came to the conclusion that here on this earth, everything is really, really messed up. The good comes with the bad. It's hard to separate the two. I can do something that's really good, but there's always something kind of bad that goes with it, like either like a bad thought or a bad motive or something that's like deep inside of myself that's not completely pure. And so just like kind of like that, I think that faith and fear kind of go hand in hand. Like there would be no need for faith if there were no fear. Like if there was nothing to be afraid of, like why would we need to have faith in anything, And one day I was really struggling with just feeling like the worst person because I was so terrified of everything. And a story in the Bible came to mind, and it was the story of Jesus when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane before they took him and tortured him and crucified him and all that. And it actually says that he sweat drops of blood. And he must have been really afraid. I mean, and he was Jesus, right? So like, he was like the one person to live on earth that like had more faith than anybody ever could or ever did in God. And he was there in the Garden of Gethsemane sweating blood, which is like a huge form of anxiety, and it kind of made me change my whole perspective on faith and fear. And for me, fear has been it sounds so funny, but for me, fear has been like sort of like the doorway to finding this God. After our baby died, I got terrified of everything, but it put me into this mode of searching, this complete determination to find this God that I really thought that I knew, but I found out after the baby died that like I didn't even know who he was, so it set me into like this real searching, this authentic searching. And so fear was like the tool or the thing that kind of led me so much more to Jesus. And eventually Jesus showed up like 10 years later after all that searching, and now I think in fear, something has to be bigger than your fear. Otherwise, you're gonna like completely live in fear. And that's what happened. I think that night when Jesus showed up, that I talked about in the other video, is that he somehow became bigger in my heart than my fear, and it compels me to like move forward and to live in my fear. Like today, I'm completely exhausted. And when I get we had such a busy week, and when I get completely exhausted, I just pull back, and my emotions would just get crazy and want to go back to like living in this fear. I'm pulling away from my husband, I'm pulling away from my little girl to try to protect them again, And but today, like I knew that I was going to feel that way, and so I just get up and I pray and I say, God, this is how I feel. This is the direction I'm heading today. I am going to be not good to my family at all, and I'm going to be pushing my little girl away. And I said, can you please help me? And so I started, planning some fun things to do with my little girl, but like inside of me, like I'm still afraid. But somehow, even in the everyday, God becomes bigger, so I can spend my day after this really long week of just a lot of work, spend this day with my little girl, just hanging out, just having a great time with her. And And so that's kind of like kind of in a practical way how this if faith and fear kind of work together. You know, for me at least, it like pushes me on to know this God, to find this God. And when I find this God, oh my goodness, everything changes, and I can spend the day hanging out and playing with my little girl, which I couldn't do before when I lived in fear. So I think that in this world, faith and fear, they go hand in hand so well.